you've obviously been making music for years and years. When did you decide you wanted to do a solo album?
I think, sorry to that. Get out the way, we're working.
So should we grab some chairs? Should we all sit down?
Should we just lean?
Lean and bob.
When did I...
Feels a bit more natural like this. So,
sorry guys, we didn't workshop this earlier, clearly. I think 2018, 2019, I kind of thought I wanted to, and then obviously the world fell apart, and then we made another Churches album, which was quite good kind of marriage therapy for us, I think. So I was like, that was it. But yeah, I think, to me, I hope the two things can coexist in a kind of symbiotic way, because the one thing I didn't want to do was just make a crap Churches album, because I feel like we all love and respect the band and what it makes, so it should exist separately than this.
How many songs, when you started writing, did you feel like, oh, is this a Churches song, is this a Lauren song, and how did you kind of distinguish them in your brain?
I think the processes are quite separate, so I kind of know when I'm going in from just my stuff, and the timelines didn't overlap a ton. Like Churches had finished writing, and we're just touring. We don't tend to write while we tour, really, so it's quite a simple exchange. Oh, chair?
Chairs. Oh, I'd love to sit down. Do you know what? I'm wearing heels next suppose. It'll be an absolute nightmare for me to
Thank
say
you.
And look at
Sorry.
them shoes.
Thank you. Oh, there's a little bit in the back for all the... Oh no, I see. Sorry.
So when you went in the studio for the first time and you started writing for you, did that bring up on any emotions that you weren't expecting, or did any kind of themes come out that you were like, oh, I didn't even know I wanted to write about this?
Stress? No, I think when I look at the record, the ones that were written first are probably the angriest ones, which I guess is just a part of the cycle of grief or something, I don't know. And then I feel like once I got that out of the way, it made more space to write a broader variety of things, probably.
How many songs did you write that didn't make it onto the album? Was it quite a long process?
Lots and lots and lots. Yes, there's many things on the cutting room floor that you guys don't ever want to hear because they're just not very good. But I think that's what was interesting about it, because I feel like you can't see yourself accurately, really, and going and doing sessions with people who were like, oh, this is a singer from Churches, and then seeing what they would propose was quite interesting in a way. But there was just a lot of like songs that sound like rubbish Churches bits. So I was like, not this, man. But yeah, I think it was just a process of figuring out what I wanted to be, I think.
And what did you learn about yourself? Like, did you feel like you found out who you were in a way? Or are you still learning?
For good and bad, I think you learn a lot about yourself. I don't know, I think I learned that I need to be better at listening to my intuition on things. Like if I kind of know sometimes when a song might be objectively decent, but it's not for me, and I'm not very good at, well, I'm sure a manager would disagree, but I don't know if I'm very good at picking that out sometimes. And I think in a band that's harder if other people really love it and you don't, or vice versa. So yeah, I think it's just been a lesson in that to a degree.
And of the songs that made it onto the album, are there any that are particularly special to you?
That last really depressing one, I guess, it's quite personal. And I wrote that with Dan, which is why poor Dan has to stay here during the Q&A in case something happens. But yeah, that was right at the end of the process, and I think we couldn't have written that earlier. And it was interesting personalising all the records and stuff to see which songs people have asked for lyrics from. Lots of Something in the Air. So I feel like we did a good job on that. Yeah. It's the last night of the tour. So we're like, good job, we've done so well. With these 5 tour dates that we've done.
The album title is Vicious Creature, which is a lyric from one of the songs. Why did you pick that particular lyric to sum up the whole album?
I like that it's connected to a lyric that's all about nostalgia and over-romanticizing things that actually probably aren't that good or good for you. And also I liked the drama of it. Like I feel like a singer making a record outside of the band, especially a female singer, there's a lot of baggage that goes along with that and gets projected onto you. And I think that's partly why I didn't want to do it for a long time, because I was just conscious that it's just gonna be potentially a mess, and it's not a mess, so it's fine. But I like the idea of that being it's like the diva thing. You are the vicious creature.
I like that.
I guess.
No, I like the title more. Was there anything that you kind of expected when you went solo that didn't happen? And was there stuff that you didn't expect to happen that was actually like a glimmer of light? Was there like just unexpected moments?
I think I was prepared for people to be a lot nastier about it than they've been. I don't know. Just because I think, we're so lucky that people have invested so much time and love in the band, so taking that away, I think I understand why it's stressful for people or it's hurtful. And obviously there's been some of that, but yeah, like being offered support slots for bands I love and things like opening for Death Cab and like London Grammar, and like the fact that they would want to do that when the record wasn't even out. I was like, why? And I'm like, oh, I must be a nice guy or something. I don't know.
How was it doing the London Grammar tour? Because that looked incredible.
Just some small venues, like no pressure, it was fine. No, it was really fun, and they're all such lovely people, and they were really kind to us. And it was nice doing the signings the last few nights, meeting people that had found out about the solo music from those shows. And I was like, oh, that's what you always hope when you do an opening slot, that people would find the opener interesting and go get the record. So,
and everyone here has got the record, so how...
yeah, we tricked you into having to get in here.
What would be like absolute dream way you'd want somebody to listen to it? Like, would it be in silence, lying on their bed, or like driving in the car? Like, how would you like someone to experience it? You've all got to do this.
Maybe this makes me weird, but I listen to music alone mostly. So the sadder ones I'll probably listen to alone, but maybe with a friend who could visit you intermittently to check that you're good. And then the banger ones I feel like are best done with a pal, a giggly pal.
Before we deep dive into some of the songs a little bit, I wanted to talk about some of the influences, because I saw you chatting about Fiona Apple, who I love, and then equally talking about like the love of musicals. Now that kind of came through in the record. What and where did you get inspiration from, and what surprised you?
I think when I started, I was like, this is going to be a very character-driven, dramatic, theatrical album, and there will be nothing personal at all in any of it. And then I'm like, oops. I'm just such a narcissist. I have to write about myself, I guess. But yeah, I don't know, sometimes when I'm writing, I don't really listen to very much music almost, because I'm afraid of too much stuff going in the brain. So I don't know, it comes in waves. But yeah, definitely those were, when you think about like, singer from band makes record, like the highlights are like Amy Mann or like Annie Lennox or Gwen Stefani. And obviously I know I'm not Gwen Stefani, obviously, although she's mad into this stuff these days, apparently. Sorry, I shouldn't say that. But I saw a thing on the internet the other day where she's like selling some kind of Mark Wahlberg Christianity app.
What?
Or something. Google it, guys.
That's a conspiracy theory, so there's something in the air, guys.
There's something in the original. Sorry, I'm just really stressed about it. I was like, don't say anything about any of it, and now I can't stop talking about it. I don't know what it was, I can't remember what it was, but it happened upon my algorithm, and I was like, well, if she's happy. I lost my thread, clearly.
We were talking about inspirations, the album, and like little things that inspired you.
Yes.
You actually said something there that I wanted to pick up on about how you didn't expect to go so personal with the album. Was that like a slow process, or did you suddenly feel safe to kind of share a little bit more of yourself?
I think the Church's lyrics are always a little bit more cryptic, maybe, and I think that works with the style of the music and the fact that even though I am the narrator, we kind of are writing, we all have to sing it together and own it together, so maybe there's less heart on the sleeve stuff. So I think there's some of that on this record, which is still a little bit obscured, but I don't know. I think once I tired myself out of what I thought the record should be, then some of the most emotional songs kind of came out, and it's your fault, essentially. So we can all blame Dan, or thank Dan.
Do you feel a bit vulnerable singing them, or now do they just feel like songs?
I think after the first couple of shows, it was okay. I think the first first in-store in Glasgow, I made a bit of a mess. I won't lie. But yeah, I think once you start playing shows, I always kind of feel like the ownership of the song transfers over almost. Like, you get to be really in your own head and in your own, I don't know, it's quite selfish writing in a way because you're just thinking about you all the time. And then at shows, I feel like it's about, then I'm a performer again. I have to like host the event. So yeah, it's a different kind of emotional connection for me anyway.
How is it to write something so emotional, like about your own life, and then have people relate to it in such a profound way?
I mean, that's very, if that happens, that's very nice.
Sure,
I mean, I feel like that's all anybody ever really wants. When you're writing, and I feel like you're trying to communicate something or expunge or express something, and try and understand it yourself almost, or tell a little story about something that you don't understand. So if somebody else finds something in that, then I think that's fucking lovely.
Let's unpack some of the songs that are on the album. So Are You Awake was the first solo single that you released. And it's, like, to me, it just sounds a little bit like rain. Like, I just feel like it feels like a rainy day, but in the best way.
It was a rainy day.
Was it?
Yeah.
But I was like, and I'm like, how did you kind of, like, create that song? How did it come to be? And why did you choose for it to be the first thing you released as a solo artist?
So I wrote that on a rainy afternoon in Los Angeles with Tobias Jessa Jr., who's also not American, and we both hadn't been home for a long time because of COVID. So I think we were just being a little bit maudlin. We wrote it really fast, and it was, I don't know, I think I'd been having a hard time with like figuring out how to write melodies outside of the band, because we have such a tight way of working, and obviously he's amazing, and I admire him so much. So the fact I was just kind of humming it to myself, but like internally and not very loud. And he was like, "Just do that." I'm like, "Oh, okay." So yeah, thanks, Tobias. And I guess we had like Shame and Change Shapes and a couple other songs already. And at first we thought we would lean with like a more obvious poppy song, but then it kind of felt nice to start with something that was so obviously different from Churches.
I love Change Shapes, by the way. It's such a banger. Like,
Sugar pop.
yeah, it's a bit of me. I love it. It's shameless. I feel like another song that I really love is Sunday Best, because it's still kind of, I suppose, downbeat and heartfelt, but there's like a little glimmer of hope kind of running through the whole song, which is really nice.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I think our manager was like, "That song's so upbeat," and I was like, "It's about a funeral, my guy." But I like that. I don't know. It kind of felt like it was like, if I wanted to write myself a little mission statement or something, like, if you get to take a pause and redo things, what would you do differently, kind of? And I do like that kind of fat 90s piano. I'm into that.
And what do you feel like for that statement? Like, do you think that's true? Like, would you do anything differently, or do you feel like hindsight is a good thing, but life is how it is? Deep and profound questions in the church. There we go.
God, I should have got more wine. I don't know. I think I used to, we've all had sad and horrible things happen in our lives, and I think it's hard to not wish those things hadn't happened, but ultimately on my own, I wouldn't change anything. Just some things I would like to maybe have preferred to have gone differently, but you are the sum of your parts, yes.
And while we're talking about reflection, Oh Mother, like the first time I heard that, I was like, oh, I need to call my mum. Like, it was just like automatically, and I think it's one of them like universal feelings of like just the relationship between like a mother and daughter, and how it kind of goes through like waves.
It's complicated shit.
Yeah. But it was again, I suppose what I was saying earlier, like for me it was like, oh, like I feel this way, and that's like, and as I was listening
that's
to
nice
it,
that you called your mum.
yeah, but I was like, it's just like I suppose like your lyrics having such a connection with people is really lovely, but to write something like that is like both of you, that is so emotional and vulnerable, I suppose, about yourself, was that challenging, or did it feel right?
Well, I give you the credit for that, because I was trying to write yet another song about loneliness and distance, which I love to do. And you were like, maybe you got enough of those, maybe. You didn't say it like that, because you're a very nice guy. But you were just, I don't know, you were like, the music and the melody kind of felt like it needed to be more personal than that. So you were like...
Well, yeah, it was like our last opportunity to do something different. And I thought, let's just push the boat out here and reel out some Lauren
some
emotion.
feelings. But then we just had a little sad, weepy afternoon. It was when we were tracking the piano, we had to keep stopping because one of us was getting sniffly and it was getting picked up on the microphones. But I think it was quite nice because the day before we'd been doing all the vocals for Something in the Air and all like the high scream, all that stuff. And then the next day we were like, I'm just weeping about our mums.
What do you do, like, to look after yourself when you're writing songs like that? Like, what do you do after you leave the session? Do you...
We went to a sesh.
From the session to the session.
Yeah, I think we had Nando's for Nando's for lunch, and then I think we went to the pub later on, I think. Did we not? I can't remember. I don't know. Well, it's not a good sign.
That's balance. I'm here for it. Punch Drunk is very upbeat in a completely different way. I feel like it's just kind of proper earworm. How did it feel like releasing a record where there was like proper heartfelt ballads and then, like you said earlier, like sugar pop records?
I feel like that's what's fun about it, to be honest, especially for a first record. I think it should be, like, to me, I might have felt like there's loads of different things I wanted to do, so I'm like, why should the record not feel like that? Like, it just was all these things I wanted to try, and Punch Drunk, that was the first song that we wrote together, and you were like, what about a little bass line like this? And I was like, yes, like, right, and there wasn't anything like that on the record, and I think that song is so weird, it's so pop, but it's so strange, and it was just very fun to do.
What's your favourite song to perform?
I think Sorry Etc. is pretty fun to perform, or Something in the Air is pretty good, because we played that one live once before the song came out, and it was cool to see people responding to the chorus before they knew it. It was quite a, like, primal thing, and I remember getting off stage and texting Dan and being like, I think they like it. I think they're gonna like it.
Let's go on to that song then, because in just a minute I'm going to do audience questions, and we got some really good questions in about that song specifically, which were, the first one that was actually somebody's #1 song on Spotify Wrapped.
Oh man, you really tanned that at the end of the year, whoever that was. God bless you.
And they wanted to know what your Spotify Wrapped was, if you can remember, or if you feel comfortable sharing.
Yes, well, I told a few people this before. I had my top 2 were both Taylor Swift songs. It was Guilty as Sin and Love of My Life. Don't know why I'm not listening to I Can Do It With Broken Heart or any of the peppy ones. I'm like, no, give me these really traumatic, sad ones about men ruining your life. I don't know, I just think that they're great.
She gives us range. And so do you. So maybe that's why. Maybe
the fringe.
Yeah. Range.
Oh, I thought you said fringe.
Fringe. Oh my god, you both have fringes.
I was like, we both do have fringes. We're somewhat
Multiple
known for the
things
fringes.
in common. And then the second question, which I'm curious to know, is what is your favourite conspiracy theory?
I need to start getting new ones. I don't need to start
Make a hobby of
finding
it.
new ones. Well, I suppose I've accidentally started what might be an evil rumour about Gwen Stefani. I think it's true. I should check it before I say any more about this, but I'm pretty sure it was some weird spawn con about... Anyway, what other...
Are there any, like, classic ones you believe in? Like, I just don't believe we landed on the moon. Like, I know we probably did, but like,
Really?
yeah, but I just feel like there's like no gravity, and I don't know how the flag flapped, and and I'm like, I'm quite comfortable probably being wrong about that, but just living in the peace of having a conspiracy theory. Is there any kind of big ones?
Well, we could reenact. Did anybody see the Ariana Grande lie detector test thing? They asked her whether she believes in the moon landing, and the results were questionable. And she was very upset. She was like, I believe in it, I do.
That was a really good impression.
Why would they lie about that though? There's a lot of things I'm like, I see why you would have covered this up, but why would they lie?
Because it's space race. Like, I feel like it was a big political thing. I'm sorry to get into conspiracy theories, but like Russia were getting there, then America wanted to be the first. Look into it. Maybe it could be your new one.
I don't believe it, but I'm intrigued by it. The fact that they think that Avril Lavigne was replaced. I don't think it's true. Why would they do that? It doesn't make sense. But I would kind of like to be in a room with Avril Lavigne. I've been in a room with Avril Lavigne once, and I didn't go.
Did you go?
Melissa, to see if she answered. I didn't do it. But it would be a weird thing for the. That's where I land on most conspiracy theories. I'm like, that would just be a really weird thing to do. Who's got the time?
One of my friend's dads is mates with Paul McCartney's illustrator who did all the album covers for the Beatles. Very cool. But he believes the Paul McCartney conspiracy theory.
Oh, that he?
Yeah,
Yes.
the actual friend. And he's like, oh, I like new Paul more than old Paul. And I'm like, you can't be his mate.
Is it not? Is something to do with them on the or no? He's got no shoes on the road
Yeah,
crossing,
but he's like-
so they think he's.
adamant that it happened. And I'm like, but you're his mate. And he's like, yeah, but me and the new one get on so much better. So I feel like...
I mean, there's some people in life I'm sure we would quite like to be just recast.
Let's do a little gear switch and talk about the music industry, the beast that it is. Someone has asked, what is the best and worst thing about it?
The best thing about it is that we all get tunes. We get tunes delivered to our phones and our ears and our hearts. The worst thing about it is the red tape, the emails. Not the emails. The emails are fine. Yeah, what is the worst thing? I think the worst thing about it is just when it feels really corporate and unimaginative. And, you know, we've all sat through a lot of meetings where people talk about the product. And, like, yeah, we've definitely sat in meetings with certain streaming services where they talk about the product. And you're like, but that's mine. This is my product. You didn't make it. What are you doing? But,
It's also
yeah.
not a product, it's like your art.
Yes, but you have to be like, oh, thank you so much. Please playlist my product. Your product. Take it. I don't need it.
I'm going to name drop some people now, just to add a bit of drama to the room. Jamie said, the cover art is absolutely stunning on the album. Can you tell us about the ideas behind it and how long it took to get the paint off?
Yes, it's water-based, so it washes off quite easily. But yes, we had a different idea for the cover, which was like each of the characters from the single covers would be kind of merged into one image. But then when we were looking at it, we were like, it doesn't hit in the same way. And so what is now the album cover was supposed to be the Sunday Best single cover. But yeah, the creative director who worked on it, Pippa, she's just amazing. Like, I feel like it's kind of rare in your creative life to meet people who you kind of have a hive mind with, like really early on, similarly to this young gentleman. Yes, and she could kind of take my muddled thoughts and translate them into this cool thing where I get to be a silver beast, I guess.
Andrew would like to know what kind of places do you go to get your inspiration?
I don't know. I think mostly it's like people, like stuff that's happened to me or stuff that's happened to other people, or sometimes it'll be books, sometimes it'll be films, sometimes somebody will say something and I'll write it down, which sounds quite creepy of me, but I don't know, I always kind of like write down little lyric ideas when I think of them and then come back to them later.
Do your friends ever clock it? Like, Lauren, stop it! And like typing away in your notes.
I think it's a bit annoying in certain circumstances, yeah. Like, yeah, it's a bit rude to just be having a conversation with someone and then be like, just like typing in your phone furiously. But I don't know. And even if those lyrics never get used, I feel like it's a sign that the brain is like simmering something.
Definitely. Got a question from Dahlia, which song was the hardest to write?
Which song do you think was hardest to write?
Hardest? Don't know, they're all quite easy for us.
I think I'd already had the stress, and we definitely hung out and I'd whinged about I'd been like, it's really stalled, it's going so badly, and oh no. I remember, yeah, having a big stress about that. So yeah, you were like, I don't know what she's complaining about. Our ones were super easy.
I guess something in the end took a minute to actually come into play.
I guess so, yeah, to figure out what we were going to make it about. What was difficult? I think the song Mantra was tricky to find a chorus. Like the chorus we have is the first one that we came up with, but we wrote like 5 other ones to try and make it more, I don't know, like have more of a traditional chorus kind of, but it just felt a bit cheeseball. So we just deleted them and put the original one back.
Sometimes the first one's the best one.
Sometimes.
I suppose this next question is for both of you. I feel like give different answers because it'll make it more interesting. If Vicious Creature was a film, what would it be?
Oh.
No, don't do that.
Half of it could be love lies bleeding, maybe, and the other half could be beaches.
Nice positive movies.
Yeah, I'm never watching that again. No way.
Love Actually meets Scream.
I mean, Love Actually is kind of a horror film if you think about it. In a lot of
Who's
ways.
the final girl in Love Actually? That's a question. I feel like you needed the final, like, survivor of Love Actually. Make a remake.
Yeah, who would?
Emma Thompson.
Yeah,
Let's
I
make
think
it Emma Thompson.
she should, and then I think Kira needs to divorce that guy
Yeah.
and run away from his friend really fast, and then maybe they can. Yeah, they're both divorcees. They're living in. I like what we're doing, and they're living in the village that the holiday is set in, and this is where we find them again, present day.
That was beautiful to watch. Have any books or authors inspired your writing?
Ooh, yes, there's a song on we're going to play next actually, called Anywhere But Dancing, and the chorus line of that was inspired by a section in Shuggy Bane by Douglas Stewart about how Glasgow used to be so full of the dance halls, and it was such a beautiful thing to just go out to the dance, and then I thought we would try that.
That book is beautiful, but again, heartbreak, and I feel like there's a theme. It like that. If you haven't read it, it's like a gut punch, but in the best way.
Yeah, and he's just lovely. I've been lucky enough to get to know him in real life, and he's just such a lovely, lovely person. And you're like, these sad, sad stories come out of you. How?
Let's do one last question, I think, and then we can hear you perform that song. The last question I want to ask, which is from the audience, is what is your favourite memory of making the album?
Ooh. I don't know, there's lots of good bits. I guess because I edited a video of it the other day, but I did like when we were trying to record the screams that go into Punch Drunk, because that was just quite embarrassing. I was like, I really want to do this, so this is how I think it should be. And then as I was about to do it, I realised I don't ever really raise my voice above any level ever in life. If I'm upset or angry, I go really quiet and then like silent. So I was like, here, I'm going to do it. And it was just quite humbling, I would say. But yeah, just the giggly bits are the best bits, I think.
Was it quite a release when you finally screamed?
I mean, I think I had to do it quite a few times, and then you were like, "That's
got a
enough."
good one.
Yeah, you got one.
I was like, that's the one.
And then you're like, "You can stop now." Yeah.
Oh, thank you so much.
Thank
There
you.
will be, 3 more songs?
3 more songs.
So yeah, have the best time listening to them. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen to us both.